We have had a conflict with Pakistan, an armed conflict between 7th and 10th May. From Indian side, this was called Operation Sindoor, characterized by the Sindoor of women, which had been wiped off, 26 of them, in Pahalgam by Pakistan-supported terrorists. Prime Minister had vowed in a public lecture in Bihar that their dastardly act and death of the Indian tourists in Pahalgam will be avenged, and they and their supporters, financiers, will be identified and punished. And so that is what led to the attack on 7th on 9 sites, 5 in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and 4 in Pakistan proper. All 9 locations were made into dust. Later on, Pakistani people are talking about the number of deaths and so on. They say in the total operations, about 100 people died. They have also mentioned about 30 to 35 soldiers or military personnel who died. India has admitted about 10 persons who died, besides, of course, the tourists who had died at that time. These may not be exact figures, but this is the human loss which has occurred. But as the deaths go in the modern wars, this number is not high now. So then what was the next step? The next step was that Pakistan attacked Indian cities, not military cantonments, civilian sites. The harm was very little. The attack included Amritsar, the holy city of Sikhs. The foundation stone was laid also by a Muslim along with the others, but they did not care. Fortunately, fought was not much because the incoming drones and missiles were intercepted by the S-400 missiles of India, which have shown a very good account of themselves. Then India counterattacked, which was first on the military areas. They neutralized Pakistani air defense systems in Lahore and targeted Pakistani air bases with surgical precision using loitering munitions. We should quickly look at the kind of equipment which was used. To begin with, it was drone warfare. Pakistan had lots of drones from Turkey which were deployed along with the loitering munitions. But India used kamikaze drones, while Pakistan used its Turkish origin UAVs. India's air defense systems had become so powerful and so digitally connected that they successfully intercepted and destroyed most of these drones. And here comes, therefore, the capability of India in terms of using mostly indigenous digital architectures and digital capability to develop the air defense systems, we can call them ADS, comparable, perhaps even better, to the so-called Iron Dome system of Israel. We have had some collaboration with Israel also. So Indian equipment was basically indigenous equipment, Russia supported and Israel supported, while Pakistan's equipment was mostly Chinese and the drones were mostly Turkish and some missiles too. But in the overall assessment by the seasoned military officials is that the Indian equipment, like the BrahMos missiles, like Akash, gave a very, very good account of theirs, to the extent, though it may not be directly related, that the stock prices of the Turkish companies which make these things and of the Chinese companies have dropped down quite a bit. And so also their orders have started drying up. Then on 10th, I do remember I had read out here when morning 7:49 a.m. Eastern Time, US, Mr. Trump had put up a tweet saying that the whole night the officials had been working and all that, and so a ceasefire was in the offing, and the USA and he had done a lot to bring that ceasefire. Later on both sides, especially on the Indian side, it has been stated that there was no interference or mediation of Mr. Trump for this, and it's the middle of the day when DGMO, that is Director General Military Operations of Pakistan, dialed his counterpart, DGMO, in India and suggested a ceasefire, and he was responded within 2 hours to say that India will do it, but only on the condition that the terrorists will stop their operations. And so by 5 o'clock on 10th, the ceasefire, not really yet, but no firing was in place. Then on Monday, next meeting took place, virtually of course, and it was decided that for 90 days there will be ceasefire, and then later on we'll see. Now there are some connected events also. One was a strong rumor and a lot of coverage in the social media, both Indian and abroad, that there was a nuclear substances pile in this Kirana Hills Air Force Station, and India by chance, by mistake, had struck a nuclear substances pile, and there was a radiation leak. Today, IAEE, that is the International Agency, Atomic Energy Agency, International Atomic Energy Agency, yes, has given out a report saying that they have found out that there was no radiation at that particular place, no radiation has taken place. And another rumor that a plane from Egypt had flown in via China, bringing boron-12, which is used to neutralize radioactivity. That news was also not correct. So this portion is put at rest, because it could have spoiled Indian reputation also of, without warning, doing something which leads to nuclear blast. India, of course, did not do it, but it is a by chance thing that, these things are lying there and compression can take place, and there is a probability that, that compressed uranium or other nuclear substances can lead to a nuclear reaction. But it is certain that this particular airport, very, very securely designed, had tunnels from which things used to go and people used to go. Those tunnels were blocked by the Indian air attack. So they could not have done anything in terms of even bringing the material out, etc., etc. Now, on the Indian side, our persons earlier, some were junior but colonel level and wing commander level, along with the MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, were giving briefings every day and giving some basic details of what had happened. Then there was a special briefing of the Director General of Military Operation and the Director General of Air Operations and Navy Operations, and Director General of Air Operations gave quite a bit of details of before, after, of all the sites, air bases particularly, which had been bombed, and also of the places where the terrorists were there. But Pakistan did not do anything of that sort and has not done anything of that sort yet. Now, because satellite imagery is available these days at a price, and some people do a better job of better resolution, etc. In New York Times and other places, papers are coming up. But basically, they boil down to that they support our Air Marshal Bharti's assessments. Okay, now then we go to the issue of whether the ceasefire will hold or not. We hope it will hold, but India has been very clear that there are only two issues. Nothing else is there to negotiate. Return, POK, and second condition is that no intrusion by any terrorists from the Pakistan side or Pakistani trained from any side, if they can be met. Now, this issue has got tied up with the Indus Waters Treaty. It is true that number of Pakistani politicians have been showing their bluster. Their information minister, their defense minister will do this, will do that. If you do this, it is like war. If you do this, it is war. And same story they are still singing even after ceasefire. And obviously on sort of their say so, because they had nothing left to actually fight. And India could have been very tough and pushed them further to the wall, but they did not. And that is the ethics of our military, that you are professionals and they're already pushed to the wall, you know that. Our airplanes are grounded. We have surrounded their ports, etc., with our navy, that they have no place for movement. But even on this, today news has come that the Secretary's Ministry has said in that letter, saying we are willing to negotiate for the Indus Waters Treaty. Please remove the suspension because it can cause drought and flooding and all that on Pakistani side, which is not so clear. It is not so easy. India doesn't have the capacity to hold all of the water of Indus. It is a huge amount of water and comes on very turbulent way. So you require very, very big dams at many, many places to be able to do it, and it can be a harm to you also, because sometime when these dams overflow, all the area will get flooded and all that. So it's not that easy. But without going into detail, because we've done a separate reel on it, the issue is that they're saying that if you stop our water, it will be considered an act of war. Now, why are you saying if you stop our water? We have not said that we'll stop your water. Some small town politician may have said it here and there, but government has made no announcement like that. Military has made no announcement like that we are going to stop your water. And as I said, technically you can't even stop that water. It's so much quantity. These dams were set up like Bhakra Dam on the Indus, that is on Vyas actually, by very, very experienced and intelligent engineers. And they were Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, all of them, all friends, all brotherly, who built these things, right? Who also developed this treaty. But later on, as we progressed, there were these border problems on Kashmir, which started spoiling the atmosphere. Bottom line is that this particular short war of 4 days, call it 3 days or 4 days, has shown the technological capability of India across the board on a number of technologies. But if you talk about the air technologies, missiles, BrahMos, Akash missiles have done their job. And they compare it to the missiles of USA and USSR sometimes, or China, in terms of distance. But in case of Pakistan, our distance is hardly anything much. Even this air base which was attacked in Kirana Hills, which is near Rawalpindi, the capital, 20 kilometers only, right? This is 100 plus meters, 100 plus kilometers from the Indian border. So you can hit it in no time with the 100, 150, 200 kilometer radius missile. So we don't need 2000 kilometer missiles, which are very heavy, very expensive, etc. So the Indian strategy, the Indian design for Akash and BrahMos has been very good. BrahMos, as you know, is a combination of two rivers named Brahmaputra, and there is a Russian river. A combination of that is called BrahMos. And BrahMos missiles have really proved their worth in their particular range, and that's what the range is required. It is in that context that actually, though in the next round, second round, India was the attacker and Pakistan was the defender of their air bases, the loss have been minimal, though they have not stated formally what the loss is. But suppose it is 1-2 planes and all that. That in a war does happen, so we should not consider it. But certainly, if you look at the share prices of the Chinese companies and on the Shanghai Stock Exchange and the Turkish defense companies, their share prices have gone down very, very substantially, which shows that the customers and others are not willing to put any confidence in their stuff anymore. So these are some of the global implications, that the Indian defense products have proven themselves in real war against F-16s and against the Chinese missiles, Chinese planes, Turkish drones, which is currently the largest selling drones in the world. So the stock of India in terms of digital mastery over these things, design, the strategy, ethics and so on has really gone up. There will be more time to evaluate this, but this is an early evaluation of the Operation Sindoor and tying it up with the Indus waters, and there the debate will now increase because we are not going to easily let Pakistan decide things. The whole apparatus is under us and so on, and they will have to abide to the condition that saying no terrorism, zero tolerance. Then we will give you the proper information and all that about waters which are released and all that, not otherwise. So it is like a fentanyl thing. Fentanyl has been a major cause of deaths and people getting used to it, addicted to it, and Mr. Trump imposed 20% tax on Mexico, Canada on their goods and on China 20% again, calling it fentanyl tax. And he is saying that if you show sufficient effort to stop the import of fentanyl in our country, which is a chemical, very, very dangerous chemical with which people get addicted, and it's like nashili dawa. So we will do that. So this is then, if they want to look at it, it's like a fentanyl tax. If your terrorists come in, we have this particular instrument without firing a single gun of controlling your water. If you stop them, we will be very cooperative. Fair. Why should we let the terrorists come and do all the tamasha in our country and kill innocent people? That spoils economies. Kashmir's economy had started improving a lot because of the tourists. Now that is gone, and so much military is there on the borders, waste of money, etc., etc. So it's a very correct line the government of India is taking, and we should understand it and appreciate it. Thank you.